In this lecture, we are going to discuss about a topic on architecture of 8051 and also about the pin details of 8051. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about the internal block structure of 8051. What is the internal block structure of 8051 is that some of the functional block elements we have discussed there. But in architecture of 8051, all the functional block elements will be discussing here. And also the pin details of 8051, how many pin IC it is that and what is the function of each pin we are going to discuss in this video. Architecture of 8051. So 8051 will run of only if these components are present there. If these elements are not there, 8051 cannot operate because 8051 is a one small computer only. So CPU we need as a processor. Okay, we need a processor to perform all the operations. For that purpose, we are using this CPU. And to store all those operations, we need a memory unit. Okay, already we know that what are the memories we are having. We are having a RAM memory as well as a ROM memory we are having. And also IO ports we are having. How many IO ports we are having? We are having 4 IO ports. Oscillator and a clock circuit we are having. Why we are using oscillator and clock circuit? To produce a stable frequencies we are using this oscillator and clock. And a bus control we are having. We are having a data bus and a address bus as well as some control bus also we are having. Okay, data bus, address bus and a control bus we are having. How many? It is an 8-bit data bus we are having and a 16-bit address bus we are having. And interrupts we are having both internal and external interrupts and a timers and counters that we are having to complete a task in a given time. Okay. See the 8051 microcontroller architecture. This is the basic microcontroller architecture. Already in my first lecture I have discussed that while discussing about comparison of 8051 and microprocessor unit, I have given this layout. Okay, that is the general architecture of 8051. So whatever the components present, these are the main functional components should be present there. Without these components, this 8051 cannot perform a task. Okay, so first main part we are having is a central processing unit. Okay, and interrupts unit we are having, that is internal and external interrupts we are having, oscillator circuits we are having, memory unit that is 4 KB ROM and 128 bytes of RAM we are having, bus control we are having, 4 IO ports we are having, as well as we are having a timer circuits. Okay, timers and counters we are having, and also we are having a serial port. Okay, see timers, counters we are having as well as a serial port we are having, all are connected together in a single IC. Okay, that is a embedded controller. This was our first class, we have discussed this. See the architectural diagram of 8051. This is the architectural layout. While we are comparing with the block diagram and architectural diagram, in a block diagram we will be having all those almostly, but this circuit will not have there. Okay, and a stack pointer we will not have, and a temporary registers we don't have. B registers is present there. Okay, so these are the, apart from the block diagram, these are the other block elements we are having here. So what is this ALU? We all know that what is an ALU? It performs both arithmetic and logical operations. We all know that, right? ALU unit. What is the function of this temporary registers? We need to know that. Okay, here we are having 2 temporary registers. Just I'm giving one small example. Please keep that in mind. Now we are booking for a online reservation or online train ticket if you are booking. Okay, so once you are booking an online train ticket, you will get immediately your confirmation, right? But when you are going to a railway station and you're booking a train ticket, you need to stand in a queue and you have to complete a task. Okay, so similarly, this temporary one register will directly perform its task with ALU. Okay, this temporary one register will not stand in a queue. Okay, it will directly perform its task. But what about this temporary register 2 is that it will come by in a queue. Okay, so it will first get the data into the accumulator. Okay, from accumulator it will come to the temporary register. So after that only it will come to ALU unit. Okay, so this is the main difference between the temporary registers 1 and 2. So which we are using it for a temporary purpose only. Okay, so what is this PSW is that it is a program status word. Without performing a task, whether I can tell the status of the program? No. So once ALU has performed this task, this program status word will tell the status of the program to the user. So once the task is completed, then only this program status word can tell the status of a program to the user. Unless without completing a task, this program status word cannot give a status. Okay. So once the program status word have given a status, what it will do is it will send the data to its destination point, that is to a data pointer. Okay, what is this data pointer? Here we are having two types of data pointers, that is data pointer high and the data pointer low. We are having data pointer high is for higher order bytes and data pointer low is for lower order bytes we are having. So what this data pointer will do is, it is like one destination point. After task is performed by program status word, it will give a report to the data pointer. Okay, once the report has been generated, what the data pointer will do is, so one instruction have successfully completed, so it will just inform it to a program counter. So what is the work of a program counter? It will start to find the next instruction, what it has to be performed there. So that will be continued by a program counter. Okay, once the program counter fetches the instructions and it will be given to an instruction register. After that, this program counter will will again increment that. Okay, this program counter is nothing but it is a up counter. Okay, it is a up counter. Up counter is that it will get increment alone, it will never get decremented. Okay, that's why it's called as a up counter. Okay, again the program counter will increment. What the next it will do is, it will buffer the data. Okay, what are the data to be sent to this side? This side is that it's a bidirectional port which is transferring between a data and also that is between the microcontroller unit to the buffer, and this is to the user side. Okay, it will separate the data and give the data to the, what are the data that microcontroller in, it will send it to the microcontroller. What are the data to be retrieved to the user, it will be given to this side. Okay, once the data have been separated, what this program address register will do, what are the data are finally executed, that will be maintained in a register. Okay, just think of an example. In one institution, if we are performing any task or what are the tasks to be completed will be maintained in a register. As like that, this program address register will maintain in a register. Okay, so from that, what it will go, where it will go, it is ROM. What is this ROM? It is a read-only memory. How many space that read-only memory will have? It has 4 KB. Okay, 4 KB of ROM we are having. This is only a read-only RAM, so only we can read the data. So only for reading purpose we are using this memory. No, so we don't have any address register for that. Okay, when coming to this RAM, in this RAM we can both read as well as write. Okay, we can read as well as write the data. So we are having a RAM address register. Okay, where the write operation is also performing, there we will have a address registers. Where we are not performing in a write operation, we will not be having any registers there. Okay. So next we need to know about what is a stack pointer. What is a stack pointer is that, this is a stack pointer. What is a stack pointer is that is, just have an example. When you are going for any outdoor station, okay, just think it of that as a one Punida Sala, okay, that is You just think of any temples, whatever you want, you can take it off. So any tourist spot, if you're going in one location, we can get answer for everything, right? That is the place. Uh, it's a stack memory. It's like a library. Okay. So if we are going to a library, what we will do? We will get collection of books there. What are the books we need? We can take it from that stacks. So similarly, if you are going for an outdoor station, if you want to know the whole details about that particular spot, you will be going to one memory unit. Okay, that is a stack memory for that particular location. Similarly, if I want to collect all the data, what are the going to perform and what are the tasks have been performed, all this will be stored in one stack memory. That is a stack pointer. Okay, the stack pointer is a up and down counter. Okay, the stack pointer is a up and down counter, whereas program counter is a up counter, whereas the stack pointer is a up and a down counter. Okay, it's nothing but a stack memory. If I want to know what are the data that performed by 8051 and what are the data going to perform by 8051, the details will be collected in the stack pointer. Okay, and what is this B register is that? It is one temporary register. Okay, why it is called as a temporary register is that this will come in only when multiplication and division operations are performed, only this B register will come in, otherwise it will not do any task. Okay, so if you are going for any place, you need any emergency medical helpline, you will call for a doctor, right? If you don't have any emergency purpose, you will not call for a doctor. So similar use of B register. Okay, so if I'm performing addition, subtraction, or logical operations, I don't need of B register. But while performing multiplication and division, I must need a B register. So without B register, I cannot perform my task completely. So for that purpose only, this B registers will be used there. And also we are having an instruction register. What is the use of instruction register is that this instruction registers will separate the instructions. Okay, so if I got only arithmetic instructions, then it will put all arithmetic instructions in one register unit. If I got only logical instructions, it will put all the logical instructions in one unit. If I got a jump instruction, it will put all the jump instructions in one unit. If I got conditional instructions, it will put all the conditional instructions in one unit. Similarly, if we are going for any place, if I am separating by a city, okay, so all Tamil Nadu people in one queue, all Andhra people in one queue, all Karnataka people in one queue. So similarly, this instruction register will segregate the instructions as per their requirement. What is this timing and control unit is that to perform a task in a given timing, okay, we need a timing and control unit, and also these programs to enable external access or enable access, address latch enable, all will be performance task during a external memory. Okay, whenever a data is accessing from external memory unit, these pins will be enabled. And also a reset pin we are having. For every 1 microseconds, this microcontroller will reset its circuit. And we are having an oscillator. What is this oscillator we are using here is the crystal oscillator we are using. Why we are using particularly a crystal oscillator is that because this crystal oscillator is producing a stable frequencies when comparing with other oscillators. We can use other oscillators also, but other oscillators will not give that much sufficient stable output. For that purpose, we are using this crystal oscillators. Okay, we can use from up to 12 megahertz crystal oscillator circuit we can use here. Okay, we are having two capacitors. Okay, because this capacitor is only producing a stable frequencies. What type of crystal we are using here is a ceramic crystal we are using here. Okay, and also some port circuits we are having. Okay, what is this ports is that below in a downward direction will be having odd number of ports, that is port 1 and 3 we are having. In an upward direction we are having port 0 and port 2. See, all these ports need a latch circuit. Okay, without a latch circuit this port circuit cannot drive. So it needs a latch circuit as well as a driver circuit. Driver circuit is nothing but it is a buffer circuit. Okay, every port will have a buffer circuit as well as a latch circuit. Okay, why these arrows are in both in upward and downward direction is that which is an indication of a bidirectional port. Okay, see, all 4 ports will have the same direction, so it is a bidirectional port. Okay, bidirectional IO ports we are having, that is 0.0 to 0.7 its port pin, it's 2.0 to 2.7, next port 1 is 1.0 to 1.7, port 3, port 3.0 to port 3.7. Each port is having how many pins? 8 pins we are having, total 4 pins, 4 ports we are having. So 8 into 4 equal to 32 IO pins we are having in 8051 IC. Okay, and see, this is a interrupt unit. Okay, interrupt unit is that which should have all special function registers here. Okay, serial port, timer blocks, everything is a special function register. And to run this 8051 we need a VCC pin, that is it has a plus 5 volt input voltage, and this is a ground point. Okay, this is the architectural diagram of a 8051. See, ALU and program counters. What is a program counter? Program counter is nothing but it is a up counter. Okay, why it is called as up counter? It will always increment only, it will never get decremented. That's why it's called as a up counter. See, here the pin is 0110 is the address, first address. So what this program counter will do? It will first take the instruction or first take the address from where? RAM memory it will take. Okay, because in random access memory only we can read as well as write the data. Okay, so from random access memory only it will take the data. So here the first address is 0100. What the instruction is having there? Move AX, 000 is the instruction. First this address, okay, this address will be stored in this unit. Okay, here from there it will fetch the instruction through address bus. Okay, so in that address what data we are having? Move AX, 0, that is sent to the data bus to the decoding unit. What the decoding unit will do? It will convert the instruction into binary data format. Okay, what the machine language will be understand, it will be convert that into a machine language unit, and after that only it will starts to execute what operation we need to do. Okay, here one simple ALU operation I have given here, a simple performing of addition. Okay, only with 4 bits I have given here. Okay, see, this is operand 1 and operand 2, 10100111, and here is the function selection we are going to do, either addition, subtraction or anything. Okay, and this is the output we will be having. Here is the result we will get, and here is the carry point we will be having. So now add these two datas, 1010 and 0111. Okay, 0111. So we all know the binary addition. So 0 plus 1 1, 1 plus 1 10. Okay, again 1 plus 1 10, 1 plus 1 10. So that's the given here. This 4 will be taken in a result 0001, and this 1 will go to carry. Okay, this for ALU operation, small mathematical operation I have given here. Okay, so what is ALU? It will perform both arithmetic and logical operations. Here I have given this arithmetic operation, or also we can perform a logical operations. Okay, special function registers. How many special function registers we are having? We are having a 21 special function registers we are having. See, math registers we are having. Here we can use A, C, C and B. That is A register and B registers as a math registers, we can use it there. What is this hex is that? It is the hexa code for each registers. And also we are having a status register, that is the status of processing, which is given by a program status word. And also we had a pointer registers. Here we have two types of pointers. We are having a stack pointer and a data pointers. Okay. And also we are having IO registers, that is the port registers we are having. Okay. And also some interrupts we are having, and also some control registers we will be having, that is TCON, PCON, SCON. These are the control registers. And also buffer register, data registers will be having, that is a SBUF. Okay. These are also control registers, interrupt priority control, interrupt enable control. Okay. 8052 only means it will be applicable only in 8052. Okay, these registers will not come into account of our 8051 IC. Okay, this is the special function registers. Okay, so here they have given like this only. There is a math register or a CPU registers, and next one is a status register. Status register will give to pointer register, and from that IO ports, from IO port to controlling, and for data registers we are having. Okay, this is special function registers in 8051 microcontroller. Stack pointer. What is a stack pointer? Already I have said that it is a which counter? It is a up counter or what counter? Down counter I have said. Why I have said that is up counter or down counter is that here both two operations will take place, that is push and call. Where these two operations will take place is that in up counter side. What is in a down counter side operation will take place is that pop and return. Pop and return instructions will be taken place in a down counter side. So now we will learn about what is stack pointer. Stack pointer works on the principle of LIFO. What is LIFO? It is a last in first out. That is, in a stack pointer, it will always start at 08H. Okay, for every reset, what the stack pointer will do is it will reset at 07H only. Okay, it will reset at the address 07H only. So all the data will store from 08. Okay, so this is the first data I have stored in my register 21. Next data is 56. Next data is 45, 78, 98, 34, 32 and 12. It is an 8-bit register, right? So we are having 8 bits here. See, what is last and first out is that from register, we need to store all this in the memory unit. That is the stack memory, we need to store the data. Okay. So, from, it's a last and first out principle, right? So, what is the last data entered in register? 12 is the last data which is entered in a register. So, this 12 will be given to the first. That is 00H, it will be stored. Which will be stored in first of a stack. Next what? 32. That will be stored there. So, automatically what is that will do is, it will push it up. Okay. That is, one after other, we are going to arrange the data in a stack. That is called push instruction. Okay. So, that is push operation will normally take place in a storing side. Okay. Storing side is that we are going to arrange the data one after the other. Okay. So, if I am calling an instruction, I will call what instruction I need. So, that will be out from the memory unit. That is a storing side. Next, what is a down counter is that here the two operations will be take place, that is pop operation and return instruction. What is that pop and return is that it will retrieve the data to the user. Okay, from stack it will take the data and give it to the user. So automatically if I am taking one data from stack memory, it will automatically gets to decrementer. That is a pop instruction. Okay, what is return instruction? We are sending back the unit to the user side. That is the return instructions. Okay, that is stack pointer. Okay, see here the stack pointer gets incremented. What is incremented? That is one after the other we are arranging the data. Okay, and we are pushing it to a RAM memory or a stack memory from that we are getting out. Okay, that is pop instruction, that is decrementing. That is push instruction is that it is an incrementing operation. Pop instruction is that it is a decrementing operation. Okay, see here move R2 comma hash 25H they have given. Okay, that is this stack pointer they have given. Okay, that is R2 is nothing but it is a register 2. Okay, that is push 2. Push 2 is that what is the data we are having here, 25H. So 25H is going to push in a R2 register. Okay, R1 is 12H, that is push 1 means 12 is going to give in register R1. Push 4 0 F3H's, F3 is going to feed in a register 4. That is we have given here. It's a small syntax of stack pointer. Okay, this is stack pointer operation. That is push instruction and call instruction will be take place in the storing side. Pop and return instruction will be used in a retrieving side. That is in a destination point. Source point we are using a push and call. Destination point we are using a pop and return instructions. And stack pointer works on the principle of last in first out. IO modes and oscillator circuit. What is that IO mode is that how many IO ports we are having? We are having 4 IO ports. Okay, so each will be having a 8 pins, so that's total 32 IO pins we are having. So in IO mode, for input we will be having separate operation, and for to act as the output that pins we need a separate operation. Here we are having one internal pull-up resistor. Okay, in except port 0, all other 3 ports will have a internal pull-up resistor. Okay, that is port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3 will have an internal pull-up resistor, whereas port 0 will not have any pull-up resistors. Okay, so why we need this pull-up resistor is that if I am, what is the supply voltage of a 8051? It is a 5 volt supply, but if I am not getting a 5 volt supply in my output side, then at that time I need a pull-up resistors. Okay, if I want to use that as a pull down also, we can use that. Okay, and we are using a FET transistors. Okay, we will discuss about detail in our next presentation because we are having a separate explanation of IO ports. Okay, each port we will discuss about there. This is the basic conditions of IO ports. And also we are having oscillator circuit. 1 megahertz equal to 1 microseconds. For 1 microseconds, it is producing a 1 megahertz. That is, in oscillator circuits, 12 up to 12 megahertz we can use. Okay, but also accurately if you want to use, we can use 11.05 megahertz. No, oscillator circuit we can use. Okay, and here we are having a capacitor, that is C1 and C2, to maintain a stable frequencies. Okay, here we are using a ceramic crystal oscillator circuit. Okay, this is what about architecture of 8051. We need to explain all those blocks. Okay, and finishing with oscillator circuits. Next one is the pin details of 8051. Pin details of 8051 is that we all know that 8051 has how many pins? It has 40 pins. So we are going to discuss about this 40 pins in this lecture. See, 40 pins totally we are having, from 1 to 20 this side and from 21 to 40 this side. Okay, from this and to from this we will be having in this direction we are having, and also from this direction we are having. Okay. So how we can remember this ports is that inverted C. Okay, that is, this is for port 0, this is for port 1, this is for port 2, this and this for port 3. We can remember like that. And port for pin 40 is for supply voltage, which is going to give a plus 5 volt supply. Pin 20 is for ground. Okay, so we cannot use this as a port pin. Okay, that is pin 40 and pin 20 will goes off. And pin 9 is a reset pin. Okay, pin 9 is a reset pin. And pin 18 and 19 is a oscillator circuit pin. Okay, pin 18 and pin 19 is a oscillator circuit pin. Okay, next 29 to 31 is a external memory access pins, okay, which will access only for external memory. All other pins are port pins. Okay, I will repeat again. Pin number 40 and pin number 20 is for supply voltage and ground. So we can't use this for port pins. And pin number 9 is a reset pin. Pin number 18 and 19 is a oscillator pin. Okay, and pin number 29, 30, 31, that is 3 pins are for external interfacing. Okay, to access the data from a external, we can use this pins. So neglect it. Remaining all those pins are for port pins. Okay, so port 0 will start from 39 to 32, which will occupy only port zeros. That is 0.0 to 0.7, 8 pins. Port 1.0 to 1.7, that is from 1 to 8. Pin number 1 to 8 is for port 1. Pin number 10 to 17 is for port 3. And pin number 21 to 28 is for port 2. Okay. 39 to 32 is for port 0. Pin number 1 to 8 is for port 1. Pin number 10 to 17 is for port 3. And pin number 21 to 28 is for port 2. Okay. Here all 4 ports are bidirectional I/O ports. Okay. All the 4 pins are bidirectional I/O ports. Bidirectional I/O ports is that it will perform both input operation as well as the output operation. That's why we are saying it that as a bidirectional I/O ports. See, port 0, except port 0, all 3 ports will have a internal pull-up resistors. Except port 0, all 3 ports will have internal pull-up resistor. If I need to add any external pull-up resistor, I can add that in port 0. What is the pull-up resistor is that here the input voltage is plus 5 volt. If I am not getting output voltage as plus 5 volt, I can boost up my voltage. How I can boost up my voltage is that by adding a pull-up resistor. So resistor will have 2 ends. Now I am connecting one resistor with pin 39, that is port 0 pin, another end with the plus 5 voltage. Now it can act as a external pull-up resistor. Okay, if I want to pull down the voltage, what I can do is I can connect other end, one end with the one port pin, other end with this ground pin. What is this ground pin? It will be producing a 0 volt, that is a ground potential pin. So it will produce a 0 volt. If I want to pull down, I can connect it with ground point. If I want to pull up, I can connect it with plus 5 voltage. Okay. Next, what is the function of this reset pin is that for 2 machine cycles, this pin it should be resetted. Okay. For every 1 microseconds, this microcontroller will reset. Okay. For at least for 2 machine cycles, this will be in a high order state. Okay, higher order state is that producing a clock pulses. That is, it should be 1. For at least 2 machine cycles, this reset pin should be 1 in a high active state. Why we need to reset that is, in our mobile phones we are having a refreshing options, and also in every computers we are having a reset pin or refresh pin. What is the use of that refresh pin? To avoid a breaking or hanging purpose we are using that. Similarly, this reset pin also used in 8051 to avoid the interruptions. Next, oscillator circuit we are having. Why we are having oscillator circuit? We all know that to produce a stable frequencies we are using this oscillator circuit. What oscillator we are using here? We are using a crystal oscillator circuit, that is ceramic crystal oscillator circuit we are using here. And this programs to enable external access or enable access or address latch enable. These will be 1 only when the data are accessing from external memory. In 8051 only we are not using much external memory, but in our 8031, 8032 ICs and all we will be using an external access. Okay, so for that purpose only this enable access will be 1 or external access whenever it is accessing a memory from external unit. Okay, externally when it is doing the operation, this will be in a high state. Okay, active high state, that is 1. Programs to enable also 1, and also the enable access will also be 1, external access. What is the programs to enable is that it will store the program externally. Okay, so at the time only it will be plus 1. That is an active high state. What is that address latch enable is that whenever port 0 and 2, okay, because these port 0 and port 2 will be having a address lines. Okay, port 0 is having a lower order address line, port 2 is having a higher order address lines. So whenever it is carrying a address buses, so at that time this address latch enable will be in a high state 1, otherwise it will be in a low state 0. Okay. In a programs to enable and also enable access, if I am not accessing any data externally, it will be 0. That is, it is performing only internal operations. This will be in a low state, active low state 0. Okay. What is address latch enable is that whenever port 0 or port 2 is accessing the address lines, it will be in an active high state. Otherwise, it will be in an active low state. Okay. All ports are bidirectional ports. Okay, what is port 3? It is one of the special function or a multifunction port. Okay, it is a special or a multifunction port. What is that multifunction is that here it will be performing a RxD and TXD is a serial port. Okay, what is serial communication is that? Serial communication is that it will be sending data one after the other as like a queue. That is serial communication. And port 3.2. P3.2 and P3.3 are interrupt pins. 3.4 and 3.5 are timer pins. 3.6 and 3.7 are read and write pins. So these are the special functions we are performing here. In an 8051 we are having a serial communication pin, that is RxD and TXD. Pin number 10 and 11 are a serial communication pin, and all other port pins are parallel communication pins. So we need to know about what is that serial communication and a parallel communication. Serial communication is that the data will be sent as like one bit. Okay, we cannot push the data simultaneously. What are the bits I'm having, I cannot push it there in a serial communication. But in a parallel communication, if I'm having 8 pins, okay, if I'm having 8 data, I can send all those 8 bits in a simultaneously. That is a parallel communication. Okay, I can send bunch, but in a serial communication, I cannot send that in bunch. So in 8051, we are having good serial communication as well as a parallel communication. Serial communication will be operated in a full duplex mode. Okay, this is the pin diagram of a 8051. Okay, in next lecture, we will discuss about the memory units. Okay, and also the IO port functions of a 8051. Okay, thank you.